You guys mind if I go through? I didn't get through all my film guys yesterday. When we were kind of talking about players that I felt like played pretty well in the game. I know we just got through kind of a couple of them. That's my fault because I talk too much. But if you don't mind, I'd like to get through a couple of guys and maybe we can chop it up a little bit. You guys good?
Sounds good to me.
Good.
All right. I want to talk about Marist Liufau if I can first, and I want to talk about Liufau in a way that when you watch him practice, you do see the instincts, you do see the ability to read what's going on in front of him and play downhill, make tackles, make plays. He needs to play more because in this game, he didn't play that way. He really didn't. And I'm not saying this in a disrespect to the young man. I'm just saying that he was in one of those modes where first game, I felt like he was guessing a little bit with the fits. There were some runs that the Rams were able to pull off, and it wasn't so much about what was going on at defensive tackle. It was what was going on with the linebackers. Him and Willie Harvey, a couple of different times on some of the runs that the Rams had, the bigger runs, they didn't fit very well. And I felt like that they were guessing on the play, that they were trying to maybe jump a gap and say, okay, this is – when you watched the first group, when you watched – Overshone, and then you also watch Clark, you saw guys, Mozzie, those guys, Davis, those guys did a really good job of kind of squaring things up inside, and then those linebackers were able to run and make plays. There were some squared up defensive linemen for these young linebackers, and they just didn't do a very good job of playing how they needed to play. They needed to read the scheme a little better. They got fooled a couple of different times, and you saw the Rams be able to have some runs. So Marist Liufau, he does not need to sit over there with me only playing like 10, 12 plays. He needs to go and play and get work and get reps. And I think that maybe the next time out he'll be a little bit better. Tomorrow we've got a scrimmage against the Rams here. Yeah. I'm interested to see how that goes, but he's been practicing pretty well for you, but needs to play. That was that surprised me a little bit of how he was off his game, because that's not his game. His game is seeing it, reading it, and then going and making plays. But I mentioned to him and Willie Harvey probably weren't at the best of what they needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, speed of the game factor, first game in, I could totally understand that.
I don't think it was speed of the game. I think his eyes failed him in this one. I think it was the eyes. Like when he had a chance, like if there was down blocks, he's got to step up. He's got to. You could see with Overshone and Clark and those guys, when they read blocks, they were attacking. They were attacking the gap. They were attacking the hole. And these guys, instead of attacking, it was like they didn't really trust what they were seeing, and they were guessing, and they guessed wrong on a couple of them, and it made them look pretty bad. But I think he needs to play a lot more. This was an interesting game and I'll just come through this quick. Golston and Fehoko both have been playing defensive tackles. Both have been playing as 3 techniques. What's happened with them now is they had to play, because this game play a little bit more on the edge. They look better playing on the edge than they did playing at defensive tackle in these practices. So keep an eye on maybe they're trying to kind of figure some things out with the defensive tackles, but that they could use Golston and maybe even Fehoko, because Fehoko hasn't shown anything. But in that game, he actually showed playing him in space, playing him on the edge. He was a little bit more comfortable than having to deal with the blocks, those down blocks, guards, centers, stuff like that he's been having to deal with. Okay, Carson, the corner. We mentioned that that they were 6 for 6 on targets against Carson in this game. His early 3 reps or 3 passes that were thrown against him didn't even look like the same player that we've seen out here at practice. Again, here's a rookie guy. He looked tentative. He didn't look like that he was really sure about what he needed to do. And then they threw a ball out there. It was the 3rd one they threw in front of him, and he drove on the ball and made a tackle for a no gain or a short gain. From that point on, he was more engaged. He was more physical. He was doing a better job of carrying routes. When he was asked to drive on the ball, he was able to do that, be able to pedal, to brake, to stay engaged and all that. So his early part of the game was not very good. But where he got better is once he made that play where he stepped up and made that tackle, it kind of got it. Something clicked with him. Much better player. Even though they were, like I said, they were 6 for 6, but he was competitive to where he was close to knocking down balls, making plays on it instead of giving up space like he did earlier in the first two. So it was good to see him have a little bit better game after the first couple of plays. Cooper Beebe in this game.
Yes, sir.
Cooper Beebe played really, really well. Now, he had one bust that I felt like I need to ask the coaches on this, but there was a chance where he had to block back, and he didn't. That when they were trying to pull, and he was trying to replace the guard on the pull. His responsibility then is to block back. Everybody blocks down, and then they get the puller around. When you watch how it went, Earl Bostic was the tackle to his side. Bostic gives a check, like a hand check, to the defensive tackle, for the Rams. But instead of like knocking him down tighter to him, the handshake went for naught because BB's got to block back. But other than that, felt like the one-on-one stuff was really good. The help stuff was really good. He did have a rep, though, where they twist stunt, and he's got to have a little bit better feel for the stunt. He was got over late, kind of got a hand on the twister, but he was for the majority of this game, his positioning was really good. His footwork was good. His power was good. The second level stuff didn't show a whole lot of that with the way because of really a lack of the running game, but like I say, the one thing was the block back was not good. That was a fault that ended up being a negative play. And then the late twist that he's got to be able to adjust. As a center, you got to keep your head on that swivel. And then when you feel the twister coming the other way, you got to be able to slide over there. He saw it late, got over late. Fortunately for Trey Lance, he was able to get rid of the football. But if Lance would have held that ball just a little bit, just a tick longer, that could have been a problem there, and maybe even a sack. So overall, playing center, played some guard, looked good at guard, kind of came off the ball a little bit later at guard, with center a little bit, because he's handling the snap. He was late a couple of different ticks, but overall, I felt like that his play was pretty solid for his first time out.
Well, that's awesome. Do you feel like this could be a moment where they switch spots? Like, is BB gaining on him now? Or
I think that, to me, this is where Hoffman was not terrible, but Hoffman wasn't as good as BB was in this game. Let's see if the coaches see it the same way here. But I did like what BB – I like the power that he was able to show in this game. It is different. They do get some push with him. With him working with the guards or him working one-on-one, they do get some push with him in that running game. I'd love to see this game them come out and run. Having Trey Lance throw the ball 40 times, I get it. You're trying to kind of get an idea. They need to work some with this young running game. They need to figure this thing out. And do they have some guys or do they have some schemes that can kind of get it going? If Lance throws the ball 20, 25 times in this game, cool. But throwing the ball 40 times in this game, I think that was a little bit of a problem for him.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.